Okay then. Well, good morning, y'all. Thank you for the introductions. Today we are going to talk about purpose-driven business, what it means, why you do it, what it's for, how to get it done. Of the 500 companies that were listed on the Fortune 500 in the year 2000, 250 of them remain today. From the year 2000 to today, 250 of them remain. And then in the next 10 years, we are projecting we were going to lose another 40% of that list. It's a major shift. We're going to see in the next 10 years as much change as we saw in the last 40. If you don't remember what the 80s was like, this might help. That's how much change we're talking about, right? I mean, you think about how much has happened, what is different in our lives between today and back in the 80s. That's how different our lives are going to be between now and 10 years from now. In 2021, 48 million people quit their jobs. And since 2010, we've seen a 60% increase in annual resignation rate in the United States. Almost 13 million people have already quit their jobs this year. That's actually just between January and March of this year. And about 55% of those polled are expecting to look for new employment this year, the remainder of this year. Also, there are 305 million startup companies on planet Earth right now. 305 million startups. That's twice as many startups as there were in 2010. It's a lot of disruption, a lot of action, and what it all means is there's a lot of change coming. Big time change coming. And what's driving it? So many things are driving it, but I like to boil it down to two main things: exponential technology and unprecedented access. I'll explain what those mean. But these are the two things that lead to massive disruption. So these are examples. This list could be hundreds long, but these are examples of exponential technologies. There are things that make it possible for organizations, humans, institutions, whatever you have, to accelerate, magnify, increase, etc. Things that we were capable to do that we weren't able to do just a few years ago. Exponential capabilities. And unprecedented access. So what do we mean by this? 4.8 billion people currently have access to the internet. And through the internet, these people have access to knowledge, talent, production, audience, capital, and an entirely new market paradigm. It means that we now have 4.8 billion people who are equipped in ways that were only possible for large organizations to be equipped just a few years ago. So if I need to get access to a chemical engineer, I can get 3 hours time from a chemical engineer. That's all I need. If I need a structural engineer, if I need a CNC machine, if I need a laser cutter, whatever I need, I can get access to in the form of renting or short-term engagements. That's how empowered individuals are today. Massively, massively empowered. Major evolutions in business. If you look over the last 150 years, there's been roughly 8 major sea change moments in the world of business. You can see what they are here. Electrification, assembly line manufacturing, robotics, digitization, Web 1.0, e-commerce, Web 2.0. But that's not a technology. That last one isn't a technological advancement. It's something completely different. But why? The last item on this list could have been blockchain. It could have been chatbots. It could have been machine learning, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation. All those things are happening now. Hundreds of things are happening now. The reason why purpose-driven is the next major evolution in business is because purpose-driven is about galvanizing a vision and orienting a company to thrive in change. Every time a major shift has happened, it defined major swaths of winners and losers in business. This is the new one that will do that. Being purpose-driven. To set your organization up to thrive as change occurs rather than suffer as change occurs. Setting a North Star or an unwavering course. When disruption occurs, when new technologies emerge, when the employment landscape shifts, when geopolitical events unfold, a purpose-driven company weathers that storm. Because for them, it's not about any one technology. It's not about any specific model of business. It's about a vision for what the future can be. Purpose-driven companies chart a voyage to the future and they stay the course. They don't fret over the competition because they're too busy inventing the future. Why does purpose-centered matter? All these things are true about purpose-centered businesses, and I'll show you the data in a moment. Better able to attract, retain, and engage top talent. Not just keeping great talent in your organization, but getting the most out of them, right? Higher degree of customer loyalty, strength and capacity for innovation, which leads to hey, you warned me. Thank you. Which leads to a decreased potential to be disrupted. If you are the one moving the future forward, other people with innovations don't threaten you, right? You're defining the next evolution in your industry. Increased sales and shareholder value, aligned to the emerging paradigm of business, which we talked about a moment ago, and greater than the individual. What do we mean by that? So, a purpose-driven organization creates an opportunity for a person to be a part of something that can achieve a result that they cannot achieve on their own. Yes, individuals are massively empowered, but purpose-driven organizations create an opportunity for that individual to be a part of something that makes it possible for them to achieve in a way that they could not on their own. So while we can access all the things that I mentioned in that prior slide, it's through the work of a scaled business that we can make major shifts on the world. For 20 years, I was employed as a marketing and communications executive, helping mostly early and mid-stage companies grow. Over that time, I supported 4 different companies, one in video streaming, one in education technology, one in data analytics, and then the last one in healthcare. In 2018, I joined a mid-stage startup based in Cincinnati called Ensemble Health Partners. And this is where I began my journey that ultimately led me here with you. While at Ensemble, working as Chief Communications Officer, I discovered the power of purpose-driven business. This is my first day. This is the other employees that actually started on the same day as I did. Regardless of what role you had at Ensemble Health Partners, you all had to go through the same training that everybody else did. Even if you were the videographer on the marketing team, you had to go through that training so that everybody could communicate in the same language, know what they were doing, understand the business that they were in. This is me on my first day of that training, and what I learned during my time at Ensemble ultimately turned into my mission in life, right? My purpose. Now I help organizations like you guys thrive by operationalizing purpose. So Ensemble is an outsourcing company. They support the back office of healthcare providers. This is like hospitals, health systems, clinics, that type of thing. And it's all non-clinical work, right? So it's the work that needs to get done to get patients to the care that they need and to make sure that the healthcare providers get paid for the work that they do. Over the last several decades, these processes have become increasingly complicated in the American healthcare system, at least. And it makes it hard for providers to focus on patient health, and it makes it more challenging for them to get paid for their work. Companies like Ensemble, there's a whole industry for this now, offload that work from the providers so that they don't have to spend time fighting in order to get paid. Instead, they can focus their efforts on ensuring that patients are well. Ensemble's staff worked in an office about 20 minutes north of Cincinnati. For their clients, they handled things like patient scheduling, insurance verification, claims coding, billing, collecting, denials management, that sort of thing. They all worked hard, and they delivered a really good result. But the working staff at Ensemble didn't really have an understanding of the ultimate impact of the work that they were doing. They didn't have visibility into it. Each day they came to work and operated phones and computers while sitting in these cubicles.
And cleaned up very well after themselves.
Yeah, totally. This was actually right before we opened this expanded office. But it's a good point. It's very clean. These cubes are in a building that is hundreds, or in some cases thousands of miles away from the hospitals that these people were supporting, right? The doctors, the patients, the communities. They'd never seen any of these things directly. These employees essentially had zero visibility into the impact that they were having on the world, or how their work was leading to better health for people and even saving lives. Meanwhile, I'm on the road capturing testimonial statements from the CEOs of some of the health systems that Ensemble supports. These are some of those folks right here. And I'm learning about what health systems are able to do when they have strong financial performance as a result of working with Ensemble. I learn about the actual impact that Ensemble staff is having, and it quickly becomes obvious to me that I have to close a 1,000-mile gap. The single most valuable thing I can do for the company, I decided, is to create visibility of the impact that these employees are having by working at Ensemble. Within a month, we released this video and started Ensemble's journey into purpose. According to voting polls, the #1 issue in America today is healthcare. Am I going to be healthy? Are my kids going to be healthy? So what is the state of healthcare in America? Well, our infant mortality rate is 3 times higher than the average of all the other countries with similar economies. Our overall cancer rate, 5th worst in the world. Our annual healthcare costs per person are twice as high as the other developed nations. 66% of personal bankruptcies in the U.S. are tied to healthcare. That's over 500,000 U.S. families every year. Life expectancy in the U.S. is not #1 in the world. It's not 5th, it's not 10th, it's 31st. And the difference between us and the top of that list is 4 years. Think about how much life you can experience in 4 years. Imagine what it would have meant to have had 4 more years with someone that you had lost. The overall healthcare system performance of the United States currently ranks dead last among developed nations in the world. Lots of reasons for these problems. But dig deeper and you almost always find one thing in common. What does it come down to? No margin, no mission. Operating margins in the U.S. declined by 39% between 2015 and 2017. So you go from razor thin to nearly non-existent. Do we accept that our doctors need to fight to get paid? Where is the change going to come from? Washington? Well, regardless of where you stand on it, the Affordable Care Act was the most sweeping healthcare change in a generation, and yet we didn't see an improvement on any of the major indices of American health. Should we expect doctors to fix it? Well, I for one think our doctors are better off focusing on our health. Should we expect insurance companies to fix it? They answer to their shareholders. If we want a better health system, we need to be the difference. We are finding and fixing the problems that are dragging American healthcare to the bottom of the list. $21 million in annualized lift for the pre-hospital system. $126 million in annualized lift for a 7-hospital system. A $440 million lift in net patient revenue, 34 months for a 21-hospital system. This is what our difference looks like. The denials we overturn, the charges that we capture, the underpayments that we recover make dollars available for providers to invest in the quality of care. New imaging machines, precision surgical robots, new medicines, more beds, more training, more wheelchairs. The work that we do offloads the burden of coding, charge capture, denials management, underpayment recovery, and 50,000 annual payer updates so that providers can focus on care. We are here because we deeply understand the problems that are bleeding our health system of resources, and we know how to fix them. We are here because we would rather prevent the denial upstream than collect a commission for overturning one downstream. That's not a job. That's a partnership with American healthcare. So this is what, your 4th day here at Ensemble? More than a job, more than a career, when you go home and your friends and family ask you about what you do. Remember, coder, biller, collector, patient access rep, these are roles. Healthcare financial management is an industry. Revenue cycle is a sector. But redefining the possible in healthcare is what you do. Welcome to Ensemble. So this was the beginning of this transformation for Ensemble, the beginning of going purpose-driven, the beginning of Ensemble staff going from an understanding of what they do being, I'm in revenue cycle outsourcing, to that understanding being, I make sure hospitals have the resources they need to save lives and keep people healthy. That is a massive transformation in perspective for an employee to have, for a leader to have, for an organization to have. And there's a lot more to it than having the video. I'll explain that in a moment, but I want to talk about the results first. Our solutions were recognized as the best in the industry. Our workplace recognized as among the best places both in the region and in the industry that we were in. And our results were recognized as the best of the best. Also, our culture was recognized as number one within our industry. So among all other companies in our industry, on both Indeed and Glassdoor, we had the highest ratings. That's employees going in to rate, much like you would on Amazon Review. Employees go in to rate, they do the star rating, and they provide their written review. So we were number one. But how about business? In 2018 and 2019, 60% of full outsourcing contracts for back office support in healthcare, 60% of the contracts that were written in the United States went to Ensemble Health Partners. That's a 60% market share, despite being a 4-year-old company in a 30-year-old market. In 2016, Ensemble was valued at $60 million, and this year that valuation reached $5 billion. We'll talk about it being a moonshot, right? That's like moonshot level business achievement. Another organization that's known for moonshots is NASA. In 1962, John F. Kennedy visited NASA for a facilities tour. While he was there, he encountered a janitor walking down the hallway with a broom. He asked the janitor, "What do you do here?" And the janitor replied, "I'm helping to put a man on the moon." That is about the best sign you could possibly have of a purpose-driven organization, that everybody in the organization understands how their role supports the ultimate vision. Let's talk about what a purpose-driven company is not. It's not alone a purpose statement. Having a beautiful and poetic purpose statement painted on the office wall does not make you a purpose-driven company. It's a good place to start. But if you think that's where it ends, you'll never get there. A purpose statement is only a small part of the big picture. Corporate social responsibility, charitable campaigns, right? Also doesn't make you a purpose-driven company. Social responsibility is a great thing. It's a powerful thing. Donating 2.5% of profits is nothing compared to 100% of your people, your time, and your resources to a vision of what the future can be. And that's what it really means to be purpose-driven. Nor is it what you sell. You might be making biodegradable camping sporks for vegans, but it doesn't make you a purpose-driven company. It probably just makes you a person who talks too much at parties. Let's talk about what it really looks like. If you're a purpose-driven company, it means that you're able to say yes to every one of these statements or questions, however you want to think about them. Think of this as where Ratterman is heading now. This doesn't happen in a day. Step one in becoming a purpose-driven company is capturing your baseline, documenting where the organization is at relative to each of these statements. After that, it takes a company-wide effort, both in planning and execution. When I had the opportunity to sit down with Ratterman's leadership team, this is what we did. I always ask a leadership team to kind of grade their own paper. How are they performing? On each one of these measures, how are they performing? I ask them to rate their organization on what I call the Hall-Jordan scale. Of course, that's Daryl Hall and Montel Jordan from No Can Do to This Is How We Do It. And they will establish that baseline on the scores for these statements. And 6 months later, we revisit. Did we move the needle? Purpose can be quantified. It can be measured. And this is how we do that. So what are the fundamentals of purpose? Where does it come from? How do you create it? It starts with your values. From the values, you declare the vision. That's your purpose statement, right? Where are we going? What can the future look like? What change, impact are we going to have? Then your mission. This is all about kind of what business that you're in. We're going to do this by, and you fill that blank in by describing what your business does. And then the strategies. How are you going to excel at it? And then finally, the specific actions and measures that people will be responsible for. From vision to action. So I want to talk about the difference between the what and how of purpose. Say a guy walks into a hardware store and asks for a 1/4-inch titanium twist hex shank. What does this person need? Drill bit is a great answer. Anytime I ask this question, I give a point to anyone who says the answer is drill bit. But I give 10 points to anyone who answers a whole. Okay? I give 20 points if your answer is to finish the project that he's working on, because that's getting closer to the actual human needs this person is dealing with, and 100 points if your answer is any one of the core human needs. So what do I mean? The project that this person is working on in this case is shelving in his garage. Okay? What needs is this person trying to meet? These are from the master list of core human needs. Shelving is not on the master list of core human needs. Understanding what needs you're actually meeting is critical in a business that is going to go purpose-driven. And in this case, these are core human needs: harmony, order, beauty, safety, movement, and space. And feelings that are associated with getting those needs met, you see on the right side. Classic whipping boy or poster child for miss the purpose-driven bus, Blockbuster. From a peak of 9,000 stores and 65 million customers, an evaluation of $3 billion to bankrupt 10 years later. Blockbuster believed they were in the video and video game rental business. I'm convinced that if you asked anybody at the peak of that arc what business they were in, that's what they would have told you. In Blockbuster, this helps to validate this. And Blockbuster, at their peak, earned $800 million just from late fees alone. What Blockbuster didn't understand is that they were actually in the entertainment at home business. The needs being met were things like humor, joy, connection, inspiration, exploration, and of course, ease and convenience. When you don't fully understand what business you're actually in, you can confuse your product with your purpose. When you do that, you become very vulnerable to disruption by people that better understand the needs of the customers and clients that are actually trying to be met. How about this example? Walk into a Home Depot and ask for a gas-powered, self-propelled, walk-behind with a clipping recycler. What is the need? What is the person trying to get? He's aiming for a beautiful yard, right? If he could just buy a beautiful yard, he wouldn't need the lawnmower. What are the needs? Harmony, order, beauty, safety, rest, and movement, and the feelings associated with that. How about this one? An adjustable heat, 3-speed ceramic ionic barrel with nylon pins and a swivel cord. What does this person need?
Look good.
Yeah, look good, right? She wants the voluminous hairdo, which I will never have. Yep. What are the needs? Self-expression, respect, beauty, self-worth, and ease. Ease. Thank you, Jules, for adding ease to that list. She's like, it makes it so easy. I'll never know. And the feelings: joyous, optimistic, confident, proud, content, and empowered. We're talking about how the brain works when it comes to needs. Why we act. Feelings are tied to needs, right? When our needs are being met, either well or poorly, we feel things. Our needs are tied to values and beliefs. They're at the core of what makes us act. First we feel, then we think, then we do. Sometimes we skip the thinking part, that's true. But feelings and needs are always at the center of what makes us do. So when you understand this, you start to get a sense of how you need to shift your thinking in any area of business: operations, product management, leadership, whatever it is. Everyone in here is in one of these departments, or maybe more. Look at the shift. Observe the mindset difference from one of these to the other. Maybe this can't be read from the back of the room. Is that difficult to read from the back of the room? Yes, it is. Okay. I'll share it with you guys later on. How to become a purpose-driven organization. I've broke this down into 6 steps. Create the company's visionary purpose. Communicate that purpose throughout the organization. Operationalize the purpose by integrating it into the DNA of the business. Continually tell the story of how the company is impacting the world. Track and measure progress towards manifesting the company's purpose. And build trust by living out purpose at every level of the organization. And I mean consistent experiences of acting from a motivation of purpose. That's how you get there. There's a lot here. That's a major undertaking. You won't accomplish this weekend. This is a Major shifts, like a significant innovation in an organization. At Ensemble, these are some of the things that we did. I don't put this up here to say these are the things you need to do. I put this up here to say these are the things that we did. I'll read just a couple of them, right? So we captured and shared client impact stories. We connected the dots between all job roles and company purpose. We put purpose at the top of our meeting agendas. We translated the core values into core behaviors, and we tied incentives and bonuses to the achievement of purpose. That's what we made it about. When somebody was doing well in their job, it was because they were doing well in delivering the organization to purpose. We created a series of videos to tell the story about what purpose meant to our leaders. We created a monthly impact video where we highlighted one specific client, went to their organization, talked to their leaders, asked them to tell us a story of what are you able to accomplish when your revenue cycle is performing well? How are you able to impact the health of your community because of the work that Ensemble is doing? And we brought those stories back to the organization. We also helped those partner organizations, those clients of Ensemble, share their story in their communities. I had an opportunity to spend a couple days along with a number of one-on-one conversations with the Ratterman leadership team. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it and was stoked to have met so many phenomenal individuals. I found the team to be highly aligned. I found that they had a shared positive outlook on the company's ability to operationalize their purpose. They also had a shared appreciation for the company's existing culture. And they had an eagerness to preserve that culture while the business grows. And then they had a clear sense of identity and a core differentiation in their market. I would call these some of the most critical foundational elements necessary to succeed in operationalizing purpose at a company. After the workshop, that team was able to crystallize Ratterman's purpose into a singular purpose statement that's going to be presented later today. Here's what I want you to know about having a purpose statement, and I said this earlier. Getting to the finish line of crafting an awesome purpose statement is really getting to the starting line on the journey to becoming a purpose-driven organization. That's what that means. So we undertook an exercise during the workshop. I handed out Post-it notepads to all the leaders that were in attendance, and I asked them to think outside their lane and place ideas for how they would think Ratterman can operationalize purpose going forward across each one of these functions and organizations, right? So leadership, product management, operations, human resources, business development, customer service, finance. There's no corner of an organization that doesn't get touched by purpose when you're really working this correctly. Everybody went to work diligently on this process, and an outpouring of eagerness, enthusiasm, and great ideas ensued. I mean, that's a lot of ideas on how to operationalize purpose at the company. That was clearly a powerful exercise. We also had a worksheet which each leader had to complete before they were able to leave or enjoy a tequila shot. This was where they stated exactly how they saw purpose as their own responsibility in the big picture of operationalizing it at Ratterman. What would they do? How would they do it? How would it be measured? What would the time box be, etc. Each leader defined their goals, measures and time boxes that they were taking responsibility for, right, in this grand initiative. And they were able to build out a really strong game plan through this exercise. Flowing from this, it becomes your turn. You have the opportunity to play a role in Ratterman becoming a massive engine for growth and impact. Everybody in this room. Think about a highly successful company that you know, and imagine being one of the first, how many people are in this room? 20, 25 people in that company. That's kind of what we're talking about here. That's really what we're talking about here. Let's take a look at some quick examples. Where's it all going to lead? Well, we turn to purpose-driven organizations to get a sense of it, okay? Every company's journey into purpose is unique to them. But we can take a quick look at 3 companies that have done a really good job and have become very recognizable as organizations driven by purpose. Always, Dove, and Nike. Let's take a look at some results. I'm not going to read all this to you guys, but you get the sense of it. When Always did their campaign, the Like a Girl campaign, it was significant success for them. And today, P&G, which is the umbrella over Always brand, owns 50% of US market share for that industry through Always. 25% of the global market. Dove, they increased their sales from $2.5 billion to $4 billion when they did the Choose Beautiful campaign in the first year of that campaign. And today they have 24% of that market. Nike saw a 31% increase in online sales just for the first week of the Dream Crazy campaign and currently owns almost 40% total market share for their industry, sports apparel and shoes. So what does that mean for Ratterman? As you are clearly equipped from a leadership standpoint and now dedicated to growing in purpose, what does it mean? It means get ready to go fast. Specifically relative to growth. The company is going to grow, your career is going to advance a lot and quickly. And what all needs to be done to operationalize purpose at Ratterman isn't something that I can tell you. I can't tell you how to get that done. It's not something that any consultant can tell you. So I've shared with you things that I've seen work, but ultimately it will be up to each individual here to play their own role in this process. And with that said, there are things that I can offer as advice. Live your life a quarter mile at a time. Family can no, okay, just kidding. So, actual advice. Don't look to your leaders to own purpose for your company. If you look to your leaders to own purpose for your company, it will dilute with every increment of growth that you take on. Every layer of distance that you insert from the core of purpose to the farthest extent of your company, you have this dilution that takes place. Purpose just doesn't get out there. It can't go that far if you expect your leaders to own it. The only way to keep it alive is if everybody owns it, with each person acting as their own core of purpose. That means each person knows Ratterman's purpose, understands it, and can speak to it and relate what it means to them personally. Also, how their role is associated with it. They're clear on the values behind it, the vision in front of it, the strategy on how they get it done, and what they're doing within that strategy. Number 2. There's too much on this to read. I'm just going to give this to you as like a high-level piece of advice. Anytime an organization takes on an innovation, and being purpose-driven is an innovation, you will be subject to the innovation adoption curve. Ta-da! That's right here. And there will always be individuals that exist at the different tiers on this curve. Innovators, early adopters, middle majority, late majority, and then traditionalists or institutionalists. That means some people will adopt this quickly, eagerly. Some people will adopt it slowly. It doesn't mean that the people who adopt it slowly don't get it. Traditionalists and institutionalists keep their foot on the brake for a good reason. They're preserving structure. Ultimately, no innovation can succeed unless it has the structure to go through to get out to the masses, etc. If innovation was a bright, shiny object that everybody jumped on all the time, you'd never have enough structure to actually get anywhere with it. So I just want you to be aware that you will encounter every personality. You might even recognize yourself on this list, right? This is one of the things you're going to encounter. All right, that's number 2. Number 3, the last piece of advice I have for you, is to clone yourself, right? What do I mean? Replace yourself in an organization that's going to grow as quickly as Ratterman's will, going forward from here. What's most important is to make sure that the thing that brought you into the role that you're in, the magic that was seen in you, that got you into the role that you're in, is something that you need to now foster in others. You need to make other people as strong as you. In a shrinking company, protecting your best talents, your templates, your resources, your process, that makes sense. You want to just protect yourself from being somebody who's going to get let go. In a growing company, the best thing you can do is to make everybody else you know as powerful as you are. Share your tools, share your templates, share your process, share your knowledge, encourage these things, right? Stop micromanaging and making all the decisions. Share that responsibility. Document the processes for how you make decisions. I use the hit by a bus question on this. If you didn't come to the office tomorrow and your direct report had to walk into that space and figure out how to move forward from there, would they succeed or fail? That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of empowerment that I suggest you aim to bring to the people who report to you. This is where my journey with purpose-driven business began. This is the day that I met Judson Ivey, CEO of Ensemble. This was in Chicago. This is when we worked out the deals of my role as Chief Marketing Officer, and I started my journey. It definitely transformed my life. I want to encourage you all to lean into this next chapter with Ratterman. The knowledge that you're going to gain, the capabilities you'll be building are only going to become more valuable as we move further into the 2020s, into the 2030s. And Ratterman's impact on the world is only just beginning. During the retreat back in April, we measured our baseline, your baseline, sorry, where you guys are at, quantified where Ratterman is at, and we're going to take another measurement in December. I would love nothing more than to see you folks make massive strides between now and then, and I'm grateful to have been able to play some small role in your story for having an impact on the world. So thank you for letting me be a part of this.